My friends, it is truly my honor and privilege to introduce to you our distinguished guest speaker, Roland Kemokai. He is an author, a speaker, a certified life coach, and a musician. Discarded on a dump heap as a baby, Kemokai struggled through poverty, abuse, and a violent civil war. Through his remarkable strength and perseverance, he became valedictorian of his high school and gained admittance into college in the U.S., where he earned an associate and a bachelor's degree. From there, Kemokai went on to become a high school science teacher and an award-winning syndicated radio show host. Feeling the call to help individuals live a fulfilling life, Kemokai became a certified life, career, and relationship coach and launched Global Empowerment Institute, focusing on professional empowerment, personal development. Somehow, during the 18 years of public speaking and launching seminars, he has found time to keep up with the love of music that he has by writing songs, performing live with a rotating clan of singers, songwriters, and musicians. He sings, plays the piano, guitar, bass guitar, and drums. He and his family live in Austin. Today, he's going to speak to us about freedom through forgiveness. Please join with me in giving him a rousing welcome. Roland Kemokai.
Don't stop yet. Keep clapping. I'll be here all week. Thank you. How you all doing this morning? Very wonderful. I am very honored and excited to be here this morning with you. It's whenever I have the privilege to speak to my fellow human beings, it's always a sacred experience for me. There was a time where I was on a book tour after I published my book out in North Carolina, and one of the guest speaker who would be on the platform with me said, well, let's go in there and tell these people why they need to listen to us. And if they don't listen to us, what's going to happen to them? And I said, I don't want to speak with you. And he said, why? I said, because nobody needs to listen to me. I'm only in a humble, grateful place by you giving your attention so that I can share with you. So I don't want to speak to you as a speaker on a platform. I want to speak to you as a fellow human being, as a fellow traveler in this human experience. With you, each soul to its own journey, and there is nothing wrong with anybody. But if I can seize this moment that we have now to share with you some things I've learned on my journey in my own path that can help you bring some sunshine, the word of today is light, that can bring some light into your corner of the world and however way your life, your relationship, and experiences are happening, then I would say mission accomplished. Is that good to go? Yeah. All right, thank you. My name is Roland Kemokai, as Linda said. I'm originally from Liberia, West Africa. I've been in the United States now going on 15 years, and I'm still learning what I'm eating. I still have to read the menu very carefully. Yeah, especially after a very challenging experience I had when a organization invited me to speak, and they were meeting at a Japanese restaurant. And so I'm there, and I'm sitting there and going through the menu, and I don't know what to order. So I'm going, oh, man, everything is just Japanese to me here. So I found something, and I say, I think this sounds like something I would eat back in Africa. And I ordered this stuff, and they brought in a bunch of raw foods. So I'm looking at this thing and going, oh, man, where do I start? And there is a sauce over there. I didn't know what it was. And I said, well, so you guys already get the joke. And I'm going, well, you know what is this thing? I'll start with that. So I took a whole spoonful of it and put it in my mouth and swallow it. Now I'm sitting there and I feel some things happening that I've never felt before. I feel like my brain is on fire. I'm sweating, and the entire jacket and tie, everything have to come off, and I'm sitting there going like, there's a poison in the food. And one of the guys looked over, and at this point, I'm crying, folks. I have tears all over the place. And this guy, sir, are you okay? I said, no, I'm not okay. What's going on here? And he's like, oh, he ate all the wasabi. So I had to run to the restroom and spend some time out there. I came back, sad to say, I had to sit in a chair and give my speech. I promised never again. So I had no wasabi coming here this morning. I want to speak to you this morning on something that's very important in our lives. And I call that freedom through forgiveness. Freedom through forgiveness. The two operative words in there, freedom and forgiveness, can pose a serious emotional separation in the experience. Number one, freedom is something that we all yearn for from deep inside. It's exhilarating, self-determination to be able to choose whoever and whatever you want to be. It is what we all craved for. It is for freedom that men go to battle, or men and women go to battle and die. But this freedom I want to speak on this morning is not one that you can fight for. It's not one that can be fought for. It's one that must be created from within. Because no matter what changes you make externally, they are of no value until the transformation has happened internally. And this is what I want to speak on today. And the sure path to experiencing this freedom, in my own experience, is through forgiveness. But that word is what will make most of us cringe. That word is what calls us to revisit places that we don't want to go back to. It calls us to open doors that many of us have just slammed full, whether we had some skeletons and bones in there, but we slammed them shut and don't want to open them. But yet, my experience, and speaking to countless thousands across 2 continents now, Africa and the Americas, what I found out is that emotions of pain that are buried alive never die. They only continue to whimper from their coffins. And the stench follows you wherever you go. Whatever relationship you're in, whatever business venture, whatever experience you engage, there is always that inner dialogue that's going on. Mostly it manifests in the form of pain and fear and hurt. And then we put up the walls to protect ourselves. So then when we engage each other as human beings, what you have now is 2 people in a dance, except they're not touching each other. They're doing that. Just stay over there, let's do that. And that's what's going on. So there is never a full engagement. Yet we all yearn for that, to be truly known and to be truly loved. So to experience this freedom, this exhilarating place to be, is to walk through the path of forgiveness. And I know many times forgiveness, as I've said, it's not easy. Forgiveness can be very challenging. And many times, especially those of us who've been in church, who've come through various forms of religion, whether it's Judaism, the major religion of the world, Judaism, or you have Christianity, or you have Islam, wherever you've grown, or just regular cultures. Forgiveness is something that sometimes people will push down other people's throat and make you feel guilty for not forgiving. But you must forgive. You must be bad and evil if you don't forgive. So as a result, the word forgiveness for many people is a serious turnoff. They don't want to even hear it. But yet, the forgiveness I speak of is the one in which you learn to let go. That's it. As you let go, you begin to create this deep freedom. And I know all in my own experiences about the challenges for forgiveness. See, when I was 3 months old as a baby, my biological parents back in Africa, Liberia, put me in a cardboard box and threw me away on a dump pile and ran off. Now, in Africa, a dump site is not your recycle, clean, and maintain places here in America. That's just way too fancy. Over there in Africa, it's just a very, very nasty place where the community dumps everything. From trash to human feces, to dead bodies, to dead animals, everything. The stench is so putrid that from miles and miles away you can smell it. It is from within this filth that my life story began. An older lady was walking by the community trash pile on a footpath, humming, carrying her cane with her, and heard a baby crying from the trash pile. And then she stopped, and according to her, she actually thought it sounded like a cat. So she put her cane down and climbed on top of the trash pile, pried the box open, and in there's a baby laying covered in fire ants and screaming. So she started yelling. Now, here you have 911. Over there is no 911. Your 911 is to scream the loudest. And people will come because the houses are so close by. So, as it happened, everyone in the community came rushing out, picked this baby up, and you have a trail of people running out to the police station yelling. They get to the police station, the officers start an all-day investigation looking for my parents. Who did this? And they couldn't find my parents. So this older lady said, give me the baby. I would like to take care of this child. Something can be made out of this child's life. So she took me home. Now, she's an elderly retired lady with her retired husband. But in this home, they had already been helping other people's children, extended relatives' children from the villages, where they would take these children, bring them to the city, and say, let them go to school. Instead of just working on the farm, let them get some education. In that home, there were 15 others. This is where my new home was now. Even though my new adopted father and mother loved me, at the hands of my adopted siblings and extended relatives, I was subjected to a lot of abuses. Physical, sexual, emotional, psychological abuses in many ways. So I grew up deeply hurt, very, very angry, and in what later on when I got to the U.S., a lot of psychiatrists that I work with, who work with me, told me I was suffering from childhood depression. I didn't know it then. And in living through all of that, I found some comfort in my mother and my father, especially my mother. She and I began developing a wonderful bond, as she always shared with me. She used to like telling stories every night. So every night we would sit by the fireplace, and she would tell stories to everybody. Since I was the youngest, we would wear what African women wear, and it looks a little bit like what Phyllis is wearing here. It flows very well. It's a wraparound, and it's called lapa back home. So she would sit down, and there would be a loop right there, and that was my favorite spot to sit in. So she'll hold me right there, and then she would tell the stories. And she would change her voice to mimic the characters in the story. And then when it came to a point where there was a bird taking a message, she would sing the message as though you heard the beautiful nightingale. And that will sing me nicely to sleep. As this bond developed, just when I turned 8 years old, she announced she was leaving too. She was coming to America without me. My world fell apart. I hit depression fast. I became extremely ill with severe malaria and almost died from it. Then I stayed with my adoptive father. Right about the time of between 9 and 10 years old, a civil war invaded Liberia. When this civil war started, we used to think it was going to be like the Commando and Rambo movies we're seeing. It was far from it. At my young age, around 9 and 10 years old, I saw point-blank shooting right in front of me. A rebel soldier carrying an AK-47 shot in cold blood a cab driver. And that will only continue. One of the most devastating and shocking one that shut me down emotionally for years was when a rebel soldier killed the father of my best friend. Mr. Johnson was a police officer. And these rebels were killing everyone who's worked for the government, especially if you were an officer, if you work in business with the government, you were on their blacklist. And that's when all of us, I usually say, the humanity and the innocence left us. And we became mere surviving bodies. In those experiences, I was filled with rage. I was filled with hurt. I was filled with anger. It was boiling within me. All schools were shut down, and all of my friends who were in the third grade with me now became child soldiers. Those children themselves were trained to kill others. 8-year-old, 9-year-olds were killing others. Some of them were made to rape their own parents. Some of them were made to shoot their own parents in front of the group as an initiation process. The only thing that kept me from joining, because many times I did pick up an AK-47, sometimes an AK-60, sometimes they had an M16. I would pick up and learn how to clean them up. The only thing that really kept me from joining was the threat of my adoptive father. He said, Abu, that was the nickname he gave me. He said, the day you pick up a gun, like the rest of these ignorant fools, I will cut your butt. And he meant it. I've been there many times. I used to be a very stubborn knucklehead, so I definitely know what he meant. And that stayed in my head for years. Even way into my teenage years with him not around, it was still right in my head, so it kept me out of trouble. But you see, as my father and I, he had sent away all the other kids back to their parents in the villages. As he and I stayed together, bonding, and we were literally starving. So every day we were on the food hustle. Just as we started to create a pattern of our survival methods, right about 12 or 13 years old, he was murdered. So then I began raising myself in the streets. And as I struggled through life in the streets, what happened then, I found myself continuously attempting suicide. By my 16th birthday, I had attempted suicide at 3 major times. There was a lot of pain and a lot of suffering within. If I should take my shirt off and you can look on my back, you will see a lot of wounds and scars. Because I almost lost my life, almost got killed several times during the war. Fortunately, one late night, December 31st, 1996, I was in the process of committing suicide, writing a suicidal note. And a divine presence, I did not feel like it was divine at the time, walked into the room and completely changed my life. This tall figure that just drifted into this room. I used to be a domestic servant, or what you might call a houseboy back, that's how we called it. It's really slavery there. And I would stay in a tool shed, something you might call here a barn. But even in the U.S., a barn is very fancy. It was made out of zinc, bullet holes all throughout it, and my best friends in that little zinc shack were fire ants again. I couldn't get those guys away from me. So in this zinc shack, the roof, whenever it stormed, it would blow the roof away. So I could take a shower in bed. Here you have breakfast in bed. There's a shower in bed. And in all of this experience then, I decided to end my life. The story kept on going through my mind. From the time I was a baby, people told me I was the dumpile baby. I was a trash baby. I was the worthless baby. And the biggest word that always rang in my mind was that I was a bastard child. So those really haunted me now by age 15 and a half, and I decided I would end my life. And that night, while writing a suicidal attempt, it is this moment that this divine being entered the room. I thought it was a devil because back there in the village, everything is devil everywhere. Until I was director of music at Unity Church of Charlotte, and a very skilled spiritual healer there, Valoris Figures, said, she also studied angel work and what have you, and said, no, that was an angel actually. She said, I think that was Angel Michael. I said, oh, wow. And it resonated with me because that being that walked in there did not feel threatening, but more of a protective type of energy. And that's the night that changed my life forever. The details of it you can read in my book out there. It's called Sunuma. And Sunuma means from the dump pile. And I promise you it's not all heavy in the book. I have a lot of funny anecdotes in there to make the story lighter. And it has a happy ending. I'm right here, right? Thank you. And that night, my life changed completely. That put me on the trajectory to this future that I now live to manifest. But the road to where I've come has not been easy. It's taken a long journey of forgiveness. You see, I was still suffering. Even though now I began going to church, I had a lot of pain and anger still within. I continued to push it down. And at the same time, having very, very bizarre anger problems that I will just blast out on people. I was a kid who used to be a street fighter. So I walk around with knives, sometimes carrying bullets with me, ready for a fight every time. And now I became this person who God has changed my life. I have friends in church, but I avoided them because I didn't want to just lose it on them and then lose my friendships. So I stay away by myself in my zinc shack. And then one day it became very deeply clear to me that for me to be free and really, really, really be free and happy like the rest of these kids in this church, I needed to find my biological parents and forgive them. You see, before this moment, I had planned to find and kill them. It was the major motivation for me wanting to become a rebel fighter. So then I went on this journey of forgiveness. I asked a bunch of questions. Police officers who knew my story, who had met me many times in the street, and they call me the miracle baby. They help to answer some questions. I finally located my father. I went to the radio station where they say he worked. That's how people knew him. I knock on the gate, and the security lady said, "Oh, no visitors today." I said, "I want to see Mr. Ernest." And she said, "That's the senior editor. We don't let anybody see the senior editor." I said, "You have a Motorola radio there. Can you just tell him my name? I want to see him. If he says no, I'll leave. No problem." She said, "Okay." So she tells him. There's a long pause. After the silence, he comes back on the radio and says, "Bring him up." So she leads me upstairs. We're going up. And we get to this door, and she said, "He's right in there." And as she's about to walk away, I tap her on the shoulder and said, No, wait. What does he look like?" She said, "I thought you said you're related." I said, "Yeah, but I've never really seen him." Excuse me. At this point, I was 21 years old. So then she said, "Oh, walk inside. He's the man behind the computer." I said, "Okay, thank you." I opened the door, 3 men behind 3 computers. Have you ever heard that statement, "Who's your daddy?" This is where it really applies, folks. And so I walk over, one of them called me over, I sat down with him, and while I sat down there, I asked him, "Are you Ernest?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Sir, I need to talk to you." So, "Well, this is a professional business setting. Why don't you come to my house?" So the next day, this was on a Friday, so on Saturday, after cutting the grass, washing all the dirty clothes for Mrs. White, who was the lady I was domestically serving, I made my way and found his house. When I got there, I went bonkers. I was angry. And the reason why I became really angry is because I learned they had other children before me and after me. So now I'm going, what was really wrong with me? Those people were right. I was a dumbpile baby, and I should have killed this fool right here. So I'm getting really, really angry. And then I realized, no, I came here for me. So you see, forgiveness is not about them. It's about you. And it's okay. Like I said, forgiveness is a process that sometimes takes a lifetime. It's not an event that must happen just by saying, "I forgive you." That's a nice statement. Forgiveness is an insider's job. Inside. And there, in this particular moment, I said, I have to be free, so I must let go. And so I sat down with him after his wife. He and my mother were never married. They were never dating. They were both young people. So he was married to another lady now, who now come to know as my stepmom. And we're sitting there, and she's sitting on a love seat, legs cramped up on the seat, and he's sitting on the next seat. And I said, "Sir, for years, I've been planning to kill you. You put me through a lot of suffering. But you see, God has changed my heart. So I just came here to forgive you." And then I stopped. I had nothing else to say. And he said, "Thank you very much. Thank you." Right then, his wife, who had been quiet all along sitting over there, took her feet off the chair, put on the ground and said, "Damn it, Ernest, explain to this boy what he needs to know." Now, I've never heard a woman talk like that before. So I look at her and I go, "Hey, when I grow up one day, I want to marry a woman just like this." Be careful what you wish for. Because I got a woman like that who speaks her mind. Makes me a better man, of course. And so when he explained to me, the summary of his story is that he blamed my biological mother, whom I haven't met before. And all I've known of her is that she was a whore who threw me away. That's all I've heard. So I've never met her before. And so when I was done with this process with him, I left. 2 months later on, after I graduated from high school as the valedictorian, the reason why I graduated at 21, that's when kids are graduating from college here. Their schools were shut down during the war. So you had people 30 years old who were in high school with all of us. So I was actually one of the youngest in high school at that age. And so after graduating as valedictorian and a family deciding to help me out here in the U.S. to go to college, I decided to look for my biological mother. I asked a lot of questions, and when I finally found her office, I walked up the stairs where they told me she would be on the second floor. And while going up, there's a little lady in red dress going down, and I stood to the side and let her pass. Went up, and there's a guy behind the desk, and I said, "I'm looking for Lillian." And he said, "Oh, she'll be back. She just went downstairs." I said, "Is it the lady in the red dress?" He said, "Yeah." And then it clicked in my head. I just passed my biological mother. I didn't even know what she looked like. when she came back. Now, even though I miss father, I never really missed him as much as I miss mother. Especially, it would really burn in my heart when my friends and I would play soccer, and sometimes we'll go to their house to get some water to drink, and they were so friendly with their moms and with their sisters, and I would get really, really envious inside. And so I decided, okay, it's time to look for mother. And now there she was, and she invited me to her house the next day. She's sitting before me, and I said, what happened? Why did you throw me away? She said, well, you know, your daddy lied to me. He said he was going to help me with money, and he didn't. That's why I threw you away. And I got angry, and I said, how can you carry me for 9 months and throw me away? And I'm sitting there looking at her. I'm looking at her neck, and I'm looking at my hands. I'm looking at her neck, and I'm thinking of what I could do with her neck. The process of forgiveness, it's okay to be really angry in the process. And then I realized, oh, you're not supposed to talk to people who are older than you like that. That's disrespectful. Over there in the culture, it's not allowed. But, well, who follows it a lot, right? And so after this experience, I told her, well, I just came to tell you I forgive you. 2 months after that, I traveled to the United States and enrolled in college here, where the next 10 years would be when I will really begin the work of forgiveness. Few things I want to pull from that to share with you. The act of forgiveness is an act of the will. The emotions will follow later. If you wait to feel like it to forgive, you just might never forgive. If you wait for the energy or the emotion to just be right, for you to nicely and lovingly say, I forgive you, good luck. It's an act of the will. It's a decision to be made. And when you've made this decision, most of the time you might not feel like it. But it is your freedom that must compel you to make this decision. When you've made it, then you have to keep making it. If you've been married longer than a year or just maybe a few weeks too, you realize after you say, I do, you realize you've set a goal. And you have to keep on saying, I do. Because there will be many times where you want to say, I don't. But this commitment you're making to freedom, well, ultimately it's to yourself. And who deserves it any more than you? It is to you. You are the adventure that has come to this experience. And if you bring all of this gift and package that beams through your eye, who deserves the taste of this gift first more than you? So this is the commitment you make to yourself, not to anyone else. And then it might take 10 years, in my case, or some of you lesser than that, or some a lifetime, to completely let go. The realization that I came to is that what you hold on to will cost you. No negative thought, no blame, no revenge lives in here rent-free. Most of the medical diseases that we have are coming from these issues of unforgiveness, what we hold on to. A lot of the stresses that are causing us so much pain in our body, robbing us of our health, vitality, rejuvenation, and energy itself, is coming from the issues of what we're holding on to. The joy that we saw in each other and sparkled this romantic relationship, we said, I love you, let's be together. It is unforgiveness that robs us of all of that too. When we come together and say, we're going to be a happy family, the one thing that will steal all of that joy is unforgiveness. The magnificence of who you are, that you've come to have this human experience and express, the one thing that can rob you of it is unforgiveness. But when you choose to let go, what you're left with is a stripped away layer, and we zoom in on just you, this divine being having a human experience. Did you know that before your parents even met you, they named you? Before they met you and knew your personality and all of the tantrums and everything, they give you a name. So behind the named is the nameless. What you are cannot be named, my friends. What you are cannot be summed up in any spoken language. Nothing can capture and define the essence of who you are. Have you even checked yourself out lately? Do you know how magnificent and how wonderful you are? When you tap into this, the victim room becomes way too small for you. You can't fit in there anymore. the roles, the titles, they become useless. Because then you quickly feel the constriction of them. And then you realize who I am is limitless. And I cannot be captured in any of these boxes. Although your life, like in my case, may start in a box. But at your awakening, you begin to realize I'm so much more than even this box of the body. And you can no longer play the victim. To play that, it's actually a choice to make. It's a choice to say, I will check myself into the mental institute that is a prison. And I'm going to walk in here and lock myself. All along, having the keys that unlock your own door. And say, I'm here. That's what the choice is when you choose to not forgive. But for your own freedom, when you choose to forgive, you liberate yourself powerfully to engage the very purpose you came to live. You see, many times in our world, we're conditioned to be so much people who react to everything. Somebody says something, you say, oh yeah, I'll tell you something about you that you don't know about you. So we'll go through this reaction, and we're never stopping to calculate a response time. You see, there's just two things that happen. One, there is what really happened, and there is what you think happened to you. And what you think happened to you, this is the best mental soap opera that can create all the best drama. Keeps on repeating the story and what have you. I mean, my goodness, if we should make you the movie director of this thing, you know how to put all the characters in the places and exaggerate the story. I lived there. It was there, the pain and everything. And then I came to realize something. That's so, if I'm the one telling myself the story, there is what happened, but I have the power to reframe and define to myself what exactly I want my story to be. It took me 10 years to figure it out. And then I went back to Liberia now to solidify the emotions with forgiveness and to stamp my freedom even more. So I invited my biological parents. They had never seen eye to eye, never been together in the same space together. They were always playing the blame game the more they heard of my story, because I started speaking in Liberia to many high schools, church groups, and what have you. So many people knew me. I did several radio interviews there even before I ever first came here. So here we were sitting at a King Burger. Over here, you call it Burger King. There is King Burger. So we're sitting there, and I told them this story. I said, I came here, it cost me $4,000 to travel out here, but I want to tell you my purpose here in this meeting is to help you forgive yourselves. And they were shocked. They were waiting for me to guilt them. They were waiting for me to latch out some revenge at them. You see, the children of unforgiveness are anger, rage, blame, and the list goes on. To endorse those is to condemn yourself to further imprisonment. To be free, blame no one. Only take personal responsibility. So my form of taking responsibility was to tell them this. Listen, don't hold yourself over this. You did me a favor by letting me go early. When you let me go, I was now open to engage my life, even as a child. By losing one mother, I've had many mothers who love me. By losing one father, I've had many father figures who love me and help and guide me as a boy into a man who is now very blessed with two handsome boys who love me very much, with a beautiful wife who supports everything I do in my life. And now saying, here I am. I play multiple instruments. I've traveled so many countries meeting beautiful human beings. So you did me no wrong. You must forgive yourself. And my father, who was a lead journalist in the country, broke in tears. When you choose to forgive, you set yourself free. And this is what I felt. Completely relief in my life. To simply be whoever I choose to be. In any moment, where I am, there I am. And whatever I want to be is what I'm being. I am no better than you. I am no smarter than you. I am no off anywhere than you are. We're all in this journey of a human experience together. The only thing that holds you back is nothing. The only person that holds you back is that eye that stares back at you every day when you look in the mirror. You. That's the sad news. The good news is you also have the power to choose to let go. Without letting go, it will cost you. Tell you a story. Back in Africa, in East Africa, where hunters go hunting for monkeys, I'm sure it's outlawed now, but back then, they would set a trap for the monkey. They put a bottle down and put a food in it. And this food is the bait. So the monkey smells the food, Comes down from the tree, puts his hand in the bottle and grabs the food. Monkey makes a fist, wants to pull out, but the bottle's neck is too narrow, right? So the monkey stuck. Monkey can't let go. Monkey lets go, pulls out. Monkey is now free. Monkey gets back in there, grab the food, pulls out. Monkey is stuck. Monkey pull, monkey lets go. Monkey free. Monkey gets back in and says, no way. Monkey grabs this food, makes a tight fist, and won't let go, and keeps on pulling on and holding on, and the hunters come over, throw a net over, and catch the monkey. Dumb monkey, huh? That's how we live our lives. We hold on. It is costing us pain. We're feeling it. We're having multiple surgeries. We're having so much pain going on. The stress is there. The mental fogginess is there. All of this pain, but we're still holding on. All you've got to do, my friends, is let go. And then begin to live your life in a responsive way in which you make a choice what you respond to instead of somebody having a remote control to your life. Because many times in this culture, most people are very reactive to things. You know, when you're always reactive, it's like the crazy story we talk about, the crazy people back home. And this crazy story is where back home, we don't have fancy bathrooms like you got here, where you go in and take a shower. You build your own bathroom. It is built out of metal sheet, 4 squares right there. So it's about shoulder height. So you can be in your shower and the neighbors are passing by. You're talking to them, having a conversation. And while in there, there is no door, right? So you use a big towel to hang there, and there is your door. Now you take all your clothes off. You got it in the corner there, and you're taking your bath like a monkey bath. You don't have an overhead shower. That's fancy. That's here. So you're over there taking this shower. And then a crazy person, you know, in America, when people really lose their mind or so, you take good care of people. You have the mental hospital or so where they can be. But there we don't have that. And we don't have the law about indecent exposure either. So some people go really crazy and strip all their clothes. They really lost their mind. And people just look, oh, that's crazy, and just go on. So that crazy person now takes off running, enters this bathroom where you are naked, and grab your clothes and start running. They're naked, they got your clothes, they're running. Now you, without thinking, you jump out and start chasing them. Now you've got 2 naked people running down the road. Now the question is, which one is the crazy one? It's hard to tell them apart. This is what we do when we simply just react. We join the crazy dance. And now you got 2 crazy people. Everybody one person think, I'm right. No, you're wrong. No, I'm right. And it's going back and forth. Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Choose your response. And this, you own your space. You see, forgiveness is a house cleaning job. When you've done the cleaning, as I said earlier this morning, when you clean up your house, do you open the doors, the windows, and invite somebody with a nasty boot and leaves and everything to come back in? Do you do that? No way. Why do you do that to your life? When you forgive and do this house cleaning, just because you have changed, it doesn't mean those people have changed. You are now vibrating at a different frequency. Your feather have changed. Birds of the same feather flock together. Find new birds to flock with. Find people who are vibrating where you want to be. But if you keep on letting those who are coming in to tear you down, to bring you down, then what you're doing, my friends, is being irresponsible with yourself. The scripture says, guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it comes the issues of life. Your heart. Guard it. Keep it in a sacred space of love and vibrate from that place, knowing that there is nothing wrong with anybody. But some are just choosing, like you and I did before, they're just choosing to be where they are. Maybe that is part of their path. But you have decided, no way, suffering is no longer necessary for me. As I've said, pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. And when you choose to be free and completely let go, you find this deeper inner awakening that allows you to engage your purpose, your passion. For years now, everyone have asked, who am I? Why am I here? And then the philosopher Socrates said, know thyself. 2 words. In that adage, is powerful. Well, the question is then, who am I? When you let go, you awaken to you. And in you, you find the divine. You find that there is no separation between you and the divine. And in that, then how can you be the victim? Two little souls went up to heaven, and they asked God, say, God, one person said, God, please teach me to forgive. Please teach me to forgive. And God said, oh, so there is nothing to forgive in heaven. It's like, and so the soul walks away pouting. I want to learn to forgive. Another soul had an idea. He said, I tell you what, I got an idea. You and I, we're going to go take up forms called humans, and we're going to go down to earth. And I'm going to do some horrible things to you. In that way, you will know forgiveness. You have to forgive me, but you got to remember who we really are. Because if you don't remember, we will get stuck in a cycle down there. And here we are. You and me. You and them. When you look in the eyes of another human being, you experience a soul. Deeply. Without projecting every personality and identity you think of them. And when you look in there and find another child, how can you not forgive them? When I went back after 10 years, all those people who beat me brutally, some who almost shot me, some who knocked me out, I look in their eyes, you know what I found? Children themselves who had been hurt before, and they just pass it on. You can choose that cycle stops with you by letting go. When you let go, the freedom I described, you feel free in yourself. Even the cells, every organ in your body thanks you. The clarity to engage your purpose. This is life, and this is what I call freedom through forgiveness. I have a saying where I say, a life on fire is an invincible one, igniting its host and setting ablaze everyone it comes in contact with. You begin to live your life on fire. All these petty things that you think are holding you back, wither away. People told me I would be nothing, and now I'm something. I'm nothing special. It's within you too. And I only invite you to forgive. As you let go, you can recreate your life so powerfully. Do not measure your life by how many years you've been around the sun. I'm 30, I'm 50. What? When you say I am, be very careful what identity you fill in that blank. Be very careful what you put in there, because there is a good chance you don't even know what you are yet. Open up through forgiveness as you experience freedom to enjoy the essence, the magnificence of who you are. And I know this sometimes is easier said than done. It's a process. And I would love to be your supporter on that. It's one reason why I decided to study all of the psychology of it, to really help myself and help others. That's why I became a certified life coach, to help others. That's why I wrote the book. This is book 1 of a trilogy, and I have number 2 to write. I'm recording an audio book for this one now. And then after that, I start writing book 2 by the end of this month, and then book 3 next. And I have 18 other titles I want to write. Basic guy, no resting for me. In all of that, my whole goal is to inspire you that you can obtain and experience exhilarating freedom through forgiveness. Thank you so much. It's been a joy speaking to you this morning. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.